So I get up in the morning. It's towards the end of October, waiting for the time change. In the meantime, it's very dark. Not a
Yeah.
lot around except like owls. But you wake up, and in your front yard, you've got 1,000 elk. What
We
up?
elk all over the friggin' place.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the only elk I see are on television or photographs from you.
So this is fun. The last 48 hours, elk have come through, deer have come through, numbers of owls, Cooper's hawk, sharp-shinned hawk. I've seen 2 coyotes. I've seen 1 fox. I know it's the same fox because I see him him or her all the time. Like maybe 3 or 4 times. Plus all the birds that have not migrated out. And I didn't see him or her, but there were bear tracks down toward the bottom of my property.
What is the predator of the elk?
Mostly mountain lions.
Do you see mountain lions?
I actually have only seen a mountain lion up here once. What I see is, I've also had raccoons on my front deck. What I see are mountain lion tracks. Mountain lions are maybe the most elusive apex predator known. They're like, I'll see their tracks and I'll see scat, and I'm going, why did I not see or hear that being? And in all honesty, mountain lions are actually the only predator around that I worry about with my horses.
You've got mountain lions in Montecito as cougars, if you know what I mean. He's Duey Freeman. I'm Mark Sylvester. We're the Elder
Morning,
Council. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna let the cougar comment just slide down either the mountain or slide down into the sea.
We'll just let that one fade off into prosperity. Oh, those guys are so funny. Listen, we were talking about a couple things. One is when you're prosperous, whatever that means to you, you have good things are happening. You've got someone to love, a job to do, and something to look forward to. That trinity that we've talked to. But you have an abundance of those things, right? So there's maybe too much work to do, or there's just too many chores. For instance, with the horses, there's just a lot of chores. There's an abundance of stuff to be done. I find that people will complain about that, which really challenges me. Like you want work, like you're an entrepreneur, you want work, and you've got so much work, like because you do a good job, and then you complain about having so much work. So my question is, what do you think the universe is going to do to you as a complainer?
Ooh. I actually have not thought about that. What are your
I
thoughts?
have.
I can tell. I'm impressed.
Well, it's going to take away the work.
What is your thought about when people complain? What is your thought about why they're complaining because I agree with you. Like I'll say to someone, how you doing? Oh man, I'm so tired. I have so much work. Man, I mean, and it's almost like a red badge of courage to say you're exhausted.
Yeah, I don't buy that, because I think in that case, the person, it's the stereotypical young entrepreneur who works till 4 in the morning and then is up, and it's the warrior, and I'm that's just youth. I won't say it's stupidity, it's youth. You have a lot of energy. um, be smart, go to sleep, take care of your body so you can last a long time. Look at us, right? Take have some balance in the sense that you're taking care of yourself. You can't take care of other people unless you take care of yourself. That's straight up, that's fact. And if you're the leader, you think that you work it was like, I remember at Wavefront, it was first in last out, right? That I'm first in, I'm last out. And I was like, no, that's okay. You can leave at a reasonable time, have your family, because that enriches you and makes you happy, and come in the next day. And there are some people who like to work late, like night owls. I'm a lark. I'm an early guy. But the person who complains, first off, if you're complaining about something, stop doing the thing that causes you to complain, because there's no joy in complaining. I think you're either being a victim, right? And that's a story you're telling yourself. And so, oh great, I'm in another situation that contributes to the fact that I feel like I'm a victim. Great, I don't want that to go away, because then I can't be a victim anymore. That's a deeper story. That's why people come talk to you, Doc.
Keeps me in business. And by the way, I'm not complaining about that.
A good friend of ours, Keith Witt, he calls it success stress.
I like that term. What expound on that a little bit? Because I have a little bit different perspective.
Well, you can have the stress from, I'm not making enough money to pay the bills, or my relationship's going south, or my kids are blowing up, or any one of the many things in life is not going well, and it's causing you stress. And so we know stress isn't good for us for all the biochemical reasons that you've studied at length. And so you try to, as the therapist or someone, try to help them recognize the stress and deal with the stress, and figure out how to make it go away. So I get that. That's all negative, from negative things in your life. What I'm talking about is stress that comes about from positive things in your life. Like I have so many hobbies, I can't keep up with this. This is not me, but I have so many hobbies I can't. Oh, I've got to go play this, and I've got to go play that, and then we're going to go hiking, and it's just, I'm so busy. Yeah, you're having fun, right?
Well, I've seen that. What I've also seen is people complaining about success, people complaining about even relationships that are successful, people complaining about making a couple $100,000 a year and complaining about not making enough money, people complaining about, oh, I have so much to do. What is your take on that? Because actually I have a take on it too, but I'd love to hear what you have to say, because I know you.
Well, when it's too much to do, I'm overwhelmed. You can have this, gosh, I have so much to do, as opposed to a gratitude mindset, which is, wow, I'm so busy. This is fantastic. I'm doing everything I love. Like that's totally a different way to think about it. Just reframe it right up the bat. Yeah, I'm so busy. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. This is exactly what I wanted. Now, so that's just a reframe. That's now I think you need someone to help you see that and reframe that and be excited about what you get to do. You're if in fact I tend to deal with entrepreneurs and people who are, building their own empires. And so they're not working for the man, who's got them working, overtime and triple overtime. And I get that. That's just messed up, right? You're just tired and burnt and you ought to go find a new job. Um, I think that where I can be helpful in those cases is to help with overwhelm and help with prioritization and help with not having everything you need to do be at a level 10. Let's be a little more realistic. Some of the things are a 10 and they need your attention, and some things are a 1 or a 2. Let's just map that stuff out. It's pretty easy. It's what my TED talk was about. It's just like take all the things, great, put them in buckets, cluster the chaos, put it on a timeline, and get to work. You get to do what you love to do. Don't be whining about it, because what's going to happen is the universe is going to yank all those new customers away, because someone will say they can tell you're harried on the phone when you're doing a business development call with them. It's just, well, I don't know if I can fit you in. It's just, I could, like, all that kind of stuff shows up, right? You'll go, oh, I didn't know you were so busy. I'll call you back next year. They never call back.
Right. Do you have a sense of what people how people set themselves up to be stressed?
Sure. Great. That's a great way to think about it. Is they don't know how to say no. That's one. So they just take on too much because they wanted their people pleasing or client pleasing, and okay, they don't set boundaries, right? And so then they get, because there's probably a lot of reasons that you know better than I do, but I think that um, again, I've been an entrepreneur since I was, in high school, and so I have worked for other people, but typically I'm very entrepreneurial. I'm a crappy employee, and so I attract people like that I can work with. I think that one of the things that I teach is to be realistic about your capacity. And I think that people don't do that. They say, well, I'll take a new client. And if you're good, you have abundance, right? It's an abundance mindset. It's like, yeah, I've got lots of people. And then all of a sudden you don't have any time left because you've been, just, of course I want to help. Yeah. And you're good at what you do. People want your stuff. If you had a good sense of your capacity in any given time, depending on what you do, you could say, hey, I could handle one more client. Okay. So when someone calls, you can say, thank you. I'm so excited about what you've got to offer. I can only take one more client right now, but I'd love, things free up in about 6 weeks. Can we talk in 6 weeks? And in the vibe you're giving is you're supporting their belief that you're the guy because you're good. Everybody wants to work with you, and you're one human, right? You can only do so much, which presents for me as a coach or a different challenge. Is like, well, how do we scale you, right? Like, I remember one time I heard, when you have too many customers, stop, double your rates. You'll lose a quarter of your customers, but the 3/4 that are left are now paying double. And you've actually opened up a little window for new customers. There was a lot in that. I'm sorry. There was like 6 answers.
So what you often offer is a very logical, workable perspective on how to make something happen, or how to purposely make something not happen.
Correct.
When and actually, this is part of what I love about you and I working together, because we come in such different doors. And part of what's really been nice over the years that we've known each other and worked together is it's like, oh, that's a pretty fucking smart way to do that. I'm going to adopt some of that. Some of it isn't quite the way I work, but it's like, oh yeah, there's some good things in here. And I have adopted.
Oh, thank you.
The other piece that I'm going to add is when we complain, we are not living in the present. We're not living in the here and now.
Keep going.
And sort of from an overview, we literally are doing something every minute of the day. Might be like, I was exhausted last night. It was like 8 o'clock when I was done. I sat on the couch, I flipped on the TV. I was eating a dinner actually that my Kimberly left and made for me. She's out of town at a conference and a learning situation, doing great things there. But and I flipped on the first game of the World Series, which I don't watch baseball. It was the first game I've watched this year. But it was just like, okay.
You got me. I didn't know there was a World Series time.
Okay, well, I didn't know it either till I flipped on, and I used
to love that. So, but
and it was like, oh, here's the first game of the World Series. Then I went up around 9:15 to do my night feeding, which I do every night. I feed my horses 3 times a day. And I do that. I go up and check, and weather's moving in. It's getting cold, 21 degrees here. We're supposed to get 8 or 10 inches of snow starting later today. And I found out my water heater, my electric up to my water heater for my water tank for the horses was not working. And I tried numbers of different things, and I didn't get back down here till 11 o'clock. And and I'm sort of racking my brain on how to make this happen. I rigged something up, it didn't work, so I figured out another way, which I believe is working right now. And I got up at 5:15 this morning to go double check that. And I could complain about that, or I could live in the present and go, it's pretty damn cool. I love these horses, and I'm up here piddling around in the middle of the night and trying to figure this out, and I will figure it out somehow. But I was running 12 different possible scenarios through my mind. I texted my electrician, who hasn't yet gotten back to me. So if I do get a call from him in the middle of this, everyone will know why. And I woke up and it was like, oh, I can do this, which is running a huge 120-foot extension cord from my house up to the water tank and through the pasture. And I had to cut off I had to section off a part of the pasture so that the horses don't step on the cord and all that stuff. But it was like, and I could go, wow, this is a pain in the ass. Kimberly's out of town. I'm doing this all alone. It's cold and blah, 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 blah. Or I could go, in the present right now, this is what I'm doing. And the hour and a half-ish amount of time that I spent up there, I would be no matter whether I'm doing it there, whether I'm doing something down here, I am doing something. Every minute we're doing something, even if it's sleeping. The reason I gave the example I did was, I sat on the couch and watched an hour of the baseball game, which was sort of fun. But every minute that we're doing something, we get a choice about whether we're doing that or not.
Whether we're present in the thing we're doing.
When we're in the present.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some stuff I do that's not that much fun.
Mucking stalls comes to mind.
Well, mucking stalls is actually my meditation.
Okay. Well, there you go. You figured out a way to deal with it.
Right. Because I'm mucking stalls, I'm listening to the horses chew. My horses have, by the time I've gotten that far, my horses have eaten enough to where they're going, oh, okay. And they're settling in. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's physically hard. I'm walking through snow. It's cold. My hands sometimes get a little bit cold because I have to do things that I can't wear gloves while I'm doing. But it's like, if I allow myself to live in the present, then there's nothing to complain about. If I go, oh my God, I'm overworked, and oh my God, I'm going to be tired, and oh my God, this, all of that's in the future, or it's in the past. And it's like, the truth is we don't have a choice about whether or not we live in the present. Because
correct.
What happened 5 minutes ago, I can't change.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't change it. I can't change what you said 5 minutes ago, like I said 5 minutes ago. And what is going to happen 5 to 10 minutes from now, I don't know. I mean, I have a good guess. We'll still be chatting and having ourselves.
So what you're describing is a life attitude or a point of view I've had since I was 20. And I went through a heinous divorce, and I was introduced to TM at the time. And I was introduced to this notion of being present. And I felt that had I not had such a major life event and a person who came into my life who said, hey, gave me a way out of that, that affected everything in my life from then on. And I don't know that everybody's had such an event or an opportunity for them to be present. Like, this might be a news bulletin. And this is purely the reason we have this show, is so we could go back to someone who's listening who's maybe 28 or 38 or 48 and take that second to stop. I mean, if you're just going through, to your point, I'm just going through, I'm either living in the past or living in the future, just to stop for a second, sink into feel your body. I love the somatic stuff I've learned, right? But just to stop and feel in your body and just feel the being here right now. Just feel the present, feel that. What does that feel like? And what's so complex and yet so simple is the profound effect it can have on you in that moment.
Completely. And the the sense of peace that comes with that, even if what you're dealing with is difficult.
Right. Yeah.
One,
Sorry, but you know what came to mind right just then is even if you're in a shitstorm, right? Like could be in a shitstorm. I had a boss. I was in a shitstorm in a restaurant. It was a Mother's Day. Everything went bad. Restaurant was over full. I hadn't ordered enough food. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And the next day, the owner of the restaurant, I was running the place. The owner of the restaurant fired me. But he was very nice. He said, "You need to remember that the restaurant business is a hurricane." And there's just shit flying everywhere all the time. That's just the nature. And your job is to be the eye of the storm. You need to be the calm one that moves us through that. So you're always calm. And you haven't learned that yet. Now, thank God I was 22. He had no business putting me in charge of his restaurant. but be that as it may. I think what came to mind was because I have learned about being the eye of the storm, and in all kinds of situations where there's shit's flying everywhere. And what hit me just then is in improv, and you know this from working with us, that before we start any coordinated action, everybody goes to everybody else and we said, "I got your back." We look each other in the eye and I said, "I've got your back." So we want to create a sense of I've got you, right? That's just something we do. And that's transitioned from our comedic theatrical life into our day to day. And it just hit me that when you take that second to be present, you have your own back.
Yes. Yes. Let that sink in, whoever is looking at this. How often do you really have your own back? And how often do you give up having your own back, even to try to get somebody else's back? Because what's interesting about what you just said, Mark, is I cannot have your back unless I have my own also.
100%.
And in that process, and giving up myself, if I do that, then I give up other people too. Now, I want to sort of riff on this a little bit because I love what you said, Mark. Having your own back is different than saying, "This is what I need, this is what I need, this is what I need" in a relationship.
Yeah.
If you have your own back and you really have what I would call an intimate relationship, and I don't mean sexually intimate, I mean intimate. You and I have an intimate relationship.
Yeah.
We have virtually talked about pretty much anything that any two people could talk about.
Yep.
And gone through very hard things supporting each other, going both ways. And when we work with each other, regardless of whether it's going out to breakfast, whether it's working on something, a speech, a presentation, a piece of learning, what are you going to do with this in your life, a major loss, the first question that we ask each other is, what do you need?
Mm.
I don't ever remember a time, and we've talked a lot, where one of us is going, this is what I need. Mark, this is what I need. God damn it. Why don't you? Or vice versa. That's never happened either way. Each of us are going, what do you need? What do you need, Mark? Mark,
Mm.
and Duey, what do you need? What are you thinking about? What's happening in your world? And that's how you get the other person's back and hold your own back. That's a really big deal. And it's also how you stay in the present, which is an interesting thing, because even in therapy and in coaching and I see it online all the time. We have to have boundaries and we have to say what we need. We have to have boundaries and we have to say what we need. Well, the way we have boundaries is to be present. The way we have boundaries is to be in our body. That's how we have boundaries. The way we get our needs met and is we find relationships that are all about, what do you need? What can I do to be helpful? And that's also a part of what creates intimacy. One of my greatest memories is the very first time I spoke with Dave Boyd on the phone. I'd not met him in person yet. And hopefully everybody on this call knows who he is. He's a great man, wonderful man. Within 30 seconds after, it's like, hey, how are you? It's great to talk to you. And it was like, what can I do for you, Dewey? And it's like, I mean, I was like, whoa. I mean, like, okay, this tells me who this man is. And he was sincere. Yeah, and he still is. Every time I speak to him, hey, it's like, hey, brother, what can I do for you? And then that's also reciprocated. And it's like, that's a piece, I think, that gets lost with people. It's a piece that gets lost in relationship. And it's also a piece that gets lost in being present. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
One thing that comes to mind, it's different. First is living a service mindset.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. So I'm gonna write that down. Do we like that thing I said? Write that down. A service mindset. I've been in the hospitality industry my whole life, whether I was in technology or I'm doing what I'm doing now. I am in the hospitality business. My job is to be hospitable and make sure you feel
good. That
hospitality. That's, people love that. We all love that, right? It's fantastic. What a great way to be. And I think that when you are selfless, then it's always going to be about the other person. In this relationship we have, it's about the other. It's not about me. I'm selfless. So it's like, how can I help you? Or what can I do? Or can I be here to listen? Or, hey, let's go have fun. Or it's like, life's a team sport. So that's just a worldview that I have evolved to, that I would love to see more people do. But here's an interesting place where it shows up. And this might have applicability. We work with speakers, people who are out there public speaking and, keynotes or workshops or up in front of their employees or wherever it is they're speaking in front of people. And to a person, it's a news bulletin when we say, this talk you're giving is not about you. It's about them. What do they need? What do they need from you right now? You're our you're our leader. You're our thought leader. You're our teacher. You're our whatever. And it is a completely different way to think about public speaking. Public speaking is usually, I'm here and I know this stuff and I'm going to tell you my life story. I'm going to, it's me, 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 me. Look at all the things I've done. That's like junk food of public speaking. There's empty calories, right? As opposed to taking a minute, like, what do they need? Like, what do my employees need right now? Gosh, we're super busy. They need me to help them with their overwhelm. My the people I'm speaking to about raising money for my business are, gosh, there's many opportunities, or they're afraid, is this going to be, am I going to lose my money? Think about, we don't think about the other person on the other side of the conversation. And if your default position is to think about the other person, Kimberly, when she's, comes up from, I can tell she's been wall to wall for 8 hours talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what does she need? Hey, can I get you an iced tea? Oh, rather than, I don't need to create an open, God, you just look really busy, or you look, because that's going to get into a doom loop, right? Don't need that, right? So I think buried inside of there is reframing it from being about you to being about them. Now, granted, I probably heard someone tell me that when I was 20. Don't know that I
When
was
did you
real.
put it into practice?
That's a work in progress doing that. So when I'm
Well,
saying that, what I know you agree with that. How do you help people actually live into that?
actually, I think for me, it's a mindset, and it's a thing that I actually think that psychology and therapy and coaching has had, in many ways, has created a disservice by people going, what do you need? You need to ask for what you need. You need to say what you want. You need to, and there is some truth and integrity in that, in knowing what you need. But what it has done is create a level of egocentricity that it is not a helpful thing relation.
Mm.
And to a person, when they are in relationships, whether it's with a partner, a wife, a husband, a child, a boss, an employee, is when there's a reciprocity and asking, what is it that what can I do to be helpful?
Which is different, I think, than what do you need?
Yes. Because if two people relationally go, what can I do to be helpful? Well, what can I do to be helpful? Well, how can I support you in this? How can, what do you, and even what do you need here? People end up having everything that they want and need. If I come in and I go, well, I need this, and then my partner or my friend says, oh, I need this, well, I need this, I need this, we're literally setting ourselves up to compete for what we need.
Mm.
But if I'm saying to you, Mark, what can I do to be helpful to you today? When we get on here, so everybody knows, we usually chat 5 to 10 minutes before we jump on the show. Both of us are going, how are you doing? What's happening in your world? And we honestly could go on for a few hours with that, but we don't. But it's like, What can I do to support you? What are your ideas? Both of us are doing that. What happens with that is both of us end up with a level of what I would call a primary satisfaction. And the primary satisfaction has to do with being felt, seen, and heard.
Ta-da.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of I didn't know what a mantra was. And the first one this one I was taught, we repeated it, and we repeated it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's like it's in my bones now. And it's one of those things wish I had learned early, because it's actually pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very simple. All I need is within me now.
Mm.
And I believe that.
Totally.
And we do something we call word punching through our speaking. So the way you can change the sentence. So if I emphasize each different word in the subsequent, so I said, all I need is within me now. 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 And you do that and believe that. You gotta believe that. Things are better on the other side of that.
You bet. Completely.
My friend, I love our conversations. I hope the people listening love them as well. And they're meant to help and put a smile on their face, or get them to think about something, and have their day be just a little bit lighter as a result.
Lovely to me. Thank you so much, sir.
I love you.
Love you.